Alright, welcome back to the woods. Today I thought I'd go over a little bit of knife sharpening and how to. I had some questions about that. So, this is a Falkneven DC3 stone. It's got a diamond side and a ceramic side. You'll want to use this for your more dull knives. I typically don't let my knives get dull enough to need this. But sometimes if you want to if you need to fix a chip in a blade or whatever, this is really good for that, but I'm not going to be using that today. So when you're sharpening a knife, it's important. I mean, this is a pretty small stone, so you probably want to use a bigger stone, especially if you're just starting out. But you need to look at your edge type. So before we even get to the stone, we're going to take a look at this. This is what's called a Scandinavian grind. So that means that the edge starts here, goes all the way straight down. So it's just a continuous edge straight down. There's no secondary. What that's called is a bevel, but there's no secondary bevel. If there was, that would be a micro bevel at the very corner. So then you've also got knives like this, which this very thick knife. This is it was a V grind or a saber grind. So it goes from a little bit of a hollow grind into the micro bevel at the edge here. And this knife, sorry for this knife is so dirty. This one gets used and abused a lot. It's got pieces of wood from batoning. But this edge here, this bevel on the very end, this is just at the end. So the way you'll sharpen them is completely different. So there are other types of grinds, but these are probably the two most common grinds that you'll run into when it comes to outdoor survival and bushcraft knives. This is more of a survival knife. The other one is more of a bushcraft knife. So try to get this where you can see. So you'll want to lay the knife on the stone. You'll notice I'm not putting anything on this. This is a dry stone, doesn't need oil or water. You don't put any of that on there. So you set your knife down and tilt to where it is. Actually, we'll do it right at the end so we can get real close in. Sorry if this doesn't focus very well. Just 1 second. Readjust. Maybe I can get in here a little bit better. There we go. So you lay it down and you tilt it up to where just the very most edge is in contact with that stone. So you'll do that, you'll find that, and you'll get used to the way it feels. Typically you wouldn't want to sharpen this big of a knife on such a small stone, but for demonstration purposes it's fine. Then you, while keeping track of how many times you're running it across, and right now you'll see the shininess on the stone there. That is actually metal coming off of the blade. What you're doing is removing just a little bit of metal. So we did that about 7 times, so we'll go to the other side and do it 7 times, and you be very careful. It's very easy to cut yourself doing this. Now you want to make sure that you're pushing. You're always moving down the stone while you're doing this. You want that continuous movement because it's going to cause little tiny micro grooves, which is how your knife cuts. It's like a tiny little saw, little microscopic bits. So you see that every once in a while you'll want to clean that off. I usually just rub it on my pants or rub it on my thumb to get the metal out of there because it'll get loaded up. So that's how you'll do saber grinds or V grinds, but Scandinavian grinds or Scandi blades is different. These are a little bit easier, people say. So you'll take this and lay it completely flat. So this entire bevel, this entire flat part, will be in contact with the stone, which is why you can see that it's not very shiny. So you'll take that, you'll hold it flat. I like to put my thumb on top because you can kind of feel, keep a decent pressure on it. You'll run the entire blade down. It's very important to get all the way to the tip. Now, what I'll typically do, now I don't like true Scandinavian grinds, so I'll do this, I'll lay it flat, and I'll tilt it up just ever so slightly, and then run just the very most edge across. And that creates a micro bevel. A lot of the times it'll turn into a convex grind, which makes the blade it makes it slightly less sharp. However, it makes for a much more robust blade edge. Like the edge of your knife will be so much more robust. So it won't, I've had a lot of Scandinavian knives, Scandinavian grind knives, Moras, etc. You know, Puko style knives, which this is kind of a Puko style knife. I've gotten little microchips in the edges when I use them if I don't take it down to a convex grind. So, but to finish, I always suggest using a strop, a paddle strop. So this is just a piece of packed wood that was used for packing that I just glued a piece of suede leather on and then rubbed. You can pick this up at most local hardware stores. It's just a buffing compound for a buffing wheel. Rub it on there, impregnate the leather with it. You'll see it's pretty loaded up. So usually on a stone you'd go this way, but on these you want to go away, and you want to keep the amounts even. That's very important. So do this an even amount of times, and you'll do it like the same angle you did for sharpening. You'll want to do that same angle here, and it makes your edge just absolutely scary sharp. These knives were already pretty sharp, but you want to at least strop after every use of your knife. Like if you do a little carving or even some food prep after you clean your blade, you want to really make sure to take care of those blades. There's a saying, I can't remember who I heard it from originally, but if you take care of your tools, they'll take care of you. And that is absolutely true for your knife, especially your belt knife in a survival or bushcraft situation. Like this is more of a bushcraft knife, but this is the Intrek 18 Bravo. This was made for SEER, which is Survive, Escape, Resist, and Evade. This is, I think they're, yeah, oh, it actually says there. This is number 55 of 500. They don't make these anymore. I believe Ray Ennis of Intrek Knives is no longer in business, which is a shame because, I mean, this is an absolute beast of a blade. I love this thing. I use it for batoning, but I mean, this will get you through in most survival situations. But yeah, really gorgeous knife. But yeah, take care of your knives and they'll take care of you. See if it's, yep. I have not sharpened this one just a little bit, but sharp enough to take care. Now I gotta explain where that bald spot came from. All right, so keep your knives sharp. Get out in the woods and stay safe. See you in the next video.